You've heard of walking while black, grilling while black, getting into your apartment while black, sitting by the pool while you're black. Well, get a hold of banking while black. A black Ohio man said that bank tellers had refused to cash a paycheck from his new job. Now, why would that be? Why would they refuse to cash his paycheck? Well, it turns out they believed that he earned too much and therefore believed that, well, this must be fraudulent, right? Now, this is Paul McCown's. And what he did is that he tried to cash his first paycheck from his new job with an electric company at a Huntington bank in Brooklyn. No, this is not Brooklyn, New York. This is Cleveland, Cleveland suburb of Brooklyn, reported by WOIO TV. Now, that paycheck. Now, look, here's the thing. So if somebody comes in with a paycheck that's like 10 grand or some outlandish number, well, then of course you would stop them. Now, how much was this paycheck? This was a grand total of $1,000. So he comes in and tries to cash his check. And tellers were like, well, look, you need to do 2 forms of identification and you need to give us a fingerprint. Now, I'm actually not against it because that's the rules for everybody. 2 forms of identification and a fingerprint. And look, it turns out that they've had some people doing fraud in the past, right? So, okay, the identification and fingerprint, we're fine, right? So he did that. And McCown's and bank employees started looking at the computer screen and questioning their transaction. Ultimately, they ended up refusing to cash the check without speaking to his employer. Now, McCown's did say, look, man, they did try to reach my employer. He just wasn't picking up the phone. He's probably busy. Okay, fair enough. But they said, look, we can't get a hold of your employer, so we can't verify the check, even though it's only for $1,000, and even though that you have presented 2 forms of ID and your fingerprint. Okay, well, that's rude, right? That's rude service. That's terrible service. Why would they not cash a check? I think we all know the answer to that. But as bad as that is, and as annoying as that is, what came afterwards is actually worse. As McCown's was leaving the bank, a police car pulled up in front of his truck before he could drive away. According to call records, it appears they had called the police on him for trying to cash his paycheck. In fact, according to call records, he's trying to cash a check and the check is fraudulent. It does not match our records. What records? He wasn't a Huntington customer. So what's going on here? Now, the teller also admits that McCown's did not know the police had been called, and officers had handcuffed him and placed him in the back of the police car. So go to cash your check after, working for a place for 3 weeks, right? So he gets a good check, $1,000. He's like, all right, yeah, I'm going to go cash in. I'm going to go maybe get some beers, chill out at home, or maybe go out to dinner. Oh, no, now I'm in the back of a police car because the tellers didn't believe that I even made that much money. Insanity, right? And of course, this is all because he's black. Oh, well, he's a black guy. He must be trying to do fraud. He must be trying to pull one over on us. Well, we're not that dumb. We're going to call the cops. Jesus, man. Now, here's the thing, right? So why would people believe that? That he must be doing fraud just because he brings them a paycheck that really isn't all that much. And I'm not saying that to disparage him. I'm saying that $1,000, look, it's a decent paycheck for sure, but we don't know if it's weekly or biweekly. But $1,000, that's not unheard of. I'd love to make $1,000 a week, to be honest with you. I don't even make that much. So good on him, man. That's great. But again, all you hear on Fox News, all you hear on conservative media is that black people, well, they don't make money legitimately. They must either be selling drugs or they're criminals and they're thugs. And they're always trying to run a scam. So it must be running a scam on these poor white bank tellers. That must be it. No. You must be thinking Donald Trump, who just had his foundation shut down for scamming people and putting money into his own pockets. So what they did is that they basically handcuffed him, put him in a police car, all for trying to cash his paycheck that he worked for. Now, thankfully, he did not go to jail. Minutes later, police had contacted the black man's employer and confirmed that McCown's had worked there for a total of 3 weeks and made just as much as his paycheck showed. My employer, McCown said, quote, "Yes, he works for me. He just started, and yes, my payroll company does pay him that much." Police then confirmed his claims to the TV station, and McCown said he cashed a check at another location the next day without any trouble. Well, there you go. So now the bank, of course, Huntington, their corporate office put out a statement. They said, "We sincerely apologize to Mr. McCown's for this extremely unfortunate event. We accept responsibility for contacting the police as well as our own interactions with Mr. McCown's. Anyone who walks into a Huntington branch should feel welcome. Regrettably, that did not occur in this instance, and we are very sorry." And of course, it didn't occur because there are people that have this racist implicit bias. And so, look, a black person comes into a blank with a $1,000 check, decent sized check. Now, but not abnormal. Again, if it was something like $10,000 or $15,000, some crazy amount of a check, you might want to go, I'm not sure about this. Maybe we should do some verification, right? But he was treated as if he did have one of those gigantic checks. And it wasn't true. So, and look, here's their excuse, right? As I mentioned before, there's been 11 instances of fraud in the last couple of months. So we're just making sure. And our tellers are hyper vigilant against what could be a scam. But here's the thing. Not every black guy you come across is trying to scam you. I know that sounds like I shouldn't have to explain that. But yet some people don't seem to understand. They saw a black person, they thought, no, that's too high. This guy must be a con artist. Now, why would they think that? We all know the answer. This is simply profiling. And the thing about implicit bias is that sometimes people don't know that they're doing it, but they are. And we as a society, we need to realize that we're treating people differently for no other reason other than the stereotypes that we have heard and the color of their skin. We need to step back, we need to realize it so that we can actually fix it and stop going after black people, putting them in jail or arresting them or calling the police on them for doing normal things. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.